Rhythm guitar is one of the most important measures of a guitar player's worth. And I say that because time and time again as a working musician, I've seen for myself that how solid you are as a rhythm player is really what gets you the paid gigs, way more often than how good you can solo. But despite how important it is, rhythm guitar is tragically underrated by a lot of new guitar players because let's be honest, lead guitar is a lot of fun. But don't let that get in the way from prioritizing your rhythm chops too. Because out there, if you want to get the paying gigs, it's going to mostly depend on your sense of rhythm. And at the end of the day, a sense of rhythm is just essential for music in general. So today I'm going to show you what I consider the #1 most important technique when it comes to rhythm guitar. And it's not about strumming patterns. I was first shown this technique by an incredible local blues and funk guitar player whom I've always admired. He told me that the technique, it's not about intricate strumming patterns or anything like that. It's literally acting as if your picking hand is a drummer. So when you're playing rhythm and your pick is hitting those strings, you can act like the low strings are a kick drum and the high strings are a snare. So they each kind of have that different timbre. You got kind of the low, almost kick drum kind of sound with the low strings, and then the kind of high snare sound with the high strings. He told me when you play like that, that's what gets you moving. And if you're moving, you're going to get other people moving too. So let's start practicing this technique together. What we're going to do is we're going to mute the strings with our fretting hand, and then with our picking hand, we're going to think of a simple drum beat and we're going to take it to the string. So let's think of your basic 4 to the floor, like boom, ka, boom, boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, boom, ka. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that simple beat and I'm going to apply it to a simple open chord progression and we'll see how it sounds. So that right there sounded nice and dynamic as opposed to just playing straight strums on the beat like this. To me, that sounded really static and lifeless, as if I were just some kind of like MIDI controller playing just the chords in one dynamic, you know? But if you're applying that sort of beat, right, with our picking hand, which is now our own drummer, it just gives it much more of a dynamic sound, and it adds this level of percussion to it that's like subtle, but it really, really lends to your sense of rhythm. Now let's try a classic rock / blues rock inspired beat. So something like boom, boom, ka, boom, 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 ka, boom, 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 ka, boom, 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 ka, boom, boom, ka, boom, boom, ka, boom. 1, 2, here we go. If you're already familiar with playing that style of like classic rock / blues rhythm, when you apply that sort of drummer mentality, it just kind of makes it go, like it makes my knee tap even if I'm not consciously wanting it to tap. Like it's still tapping right now because I'm like subconsciously thinking about what I just played. It just really locks you in for this overall sense of rhythm. So it's a great way to spice up an otherwise very, monotonous sounding riff. And finally, let's try out a funk rhythm like at the very start of the video. So the beat I was doing was something like this. Now remember, the low strings represent the kick drum, the high strings represent the snare. So when I was doing the beat, even though it's a very busy kind of beat where I'm like constantly, chicka, 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 chicka on the strings, I'm putting emphasis on the low strings when I want to feel that kick, and I'm putting emphasis on the high strings when I want to hear the snare. So it's like this. So it's not about precision really. It's just more about feel. So you don't have to boggle your mind over exactly what strings you're hitting. As long as you're in the right area. You got these low 3 strings here, like for the kick drum, right? It doesn't matter if you're playing one of them, two of them, or three of them, right? If you're in that area, you're kind of feeling that kick drum. And then with the high strings, same thing. You got 3 strings representing the snare. So whether you're, hitting the high E string, or if you're hitting 2 strings, or all 3, they all kind of have the same effect. So don't worry about precision as much as you want to just worry about feel. If it feels right, then you know you're on the right track. Okay, so let's try out this rhythm together, and I'm going to go ahead and go into the funky part that I was playing at the beginning of the video. And by the way, there's going to be a link to download the reference material for this video, everything we've covered so far on a PDF file, so you can reference it later on and keep trying it out. So here we go with the funky rhythm. What I was doing there is I was taking the bottom half of an A minor bar chord. So you have the full bar chord here. It's just the bottom half of it. So 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the D string. And then your 1st finger is going to bar the bottom 3 strings on the 5th fret here. What I did was I would slide up from 1 fret down. So starting on like the 4th fret here, just sliding right into it like that. Just gives it that extra funky effect. So when I'm playing that beat, I'm only throwing it in kind of sparsely, like. And that's pretty much all of it. The very last part, I just did this little embellishment thing where I take my 3rd finger and I'm barring the bottom 3 strings again, starting on the 7th fret, and I'm sliding it up to the 8th fret, and then back to the 7th fret. And then with my 1st finger, I'm barring the 5th fret on the bottom 3 strings. So it's. And then again, 7th fret with my 3rd finger here on all the bottom 3 strings. And then just kind of concluding it with another little A minor slide in there. And so that's something you can put in pretty much anywhere in the beat. That's just kind of where I like to put it. I really like the accents when it comes to funk guitar. Funk guitars, when it comes to rhythm guitar too, like if you feel like rhythm guitar is boring, listen to funk players. I'm telling you, I would trade all the solos in the world, and I mean this. I would trade all the solos in the world to have the hands that the picking hand that some of these funk players have. I mean, it's just amazing. It's literally like their right hand is a drummer. And then when I learned that technique, you don't have to be a funk player to apply it. We were applying it to simple chord progressions or to like classic rock chord progressions. Literally anywhere that there is drums in music, there's rhythm, right? It's important to have that. And even if there isn't drums, there is rhythm, right? So, if you're using your picking hand to be your own drummer, this is just a way for you to develop that sense of rhythm on your own, even before you start playing with a band, with a drummer, or even with a metronome. You want to have that sense of rhythm with what you're playing. And I'm telling you, it shows up in how you play your lead guitar as well. Personally, I don't like to distinguish between being a rhythm or a lead guitarist. I'm just a guitarist, and I happen to play both rhythm and lead. And I think that should be satisfying enough for us guitarists. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know in the comments who your favorite rhythm guitar player is. It doesn't matter what genre they play. It can be Malcolm Young, or Nile Rodgers, or Dave Mustaine. As far as I'm concerned, rhythm guitar knows no genre, and there's so much that we can learn from the great rhythm players of the world. Remember, the reference material for every example that we went over in this lesson is in the description box. Just click that link and download the PDF. If you've enjoyed this lesson, be sure to smack the subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so you can stay up to date on all of our future lessons. We got a whole bunch more coming at you in the near future. But before you go, I gotta tell you, I left a free gift for you in the description box as well. A link to download a free practice session cheat sheet that'll show you how to get way more out of your practice sessions in way less time. Well, that wraps it up for this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. I'm Eddie with Guitar Mastering Method, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.